When we consider nature and the relationships within it, we tend to think about the competitive aspects of nature. We think of a lion hunting, killing, and eating a gazelle, or fighting with others for territory. There are many relationships in nature, however, that are cooperative rather than competitive. One particularly fascinating example of a cooperative relationship between two species is that of the fig tree and the fig wasp. Thanks to the work of ecologist Judith L. Bronstein, among others, we've gained a deep understanding of these cooperative relationships and their ecological role. The fig tree and fig wasp not only cooperate to their mutual benefit, but each is also, in fact, dependent on the other to survive. The fig tree relies on the wasp for pollination. The fig wasp relies on the fig tree's fruit as a place to lay her eggs and allow her young to develop. The fig tree and wasp are so closely connected that some species of fig tree have a corresponding species of fig wasp specialized to that species of fig tree. According to ecologist and evolutionary biologist Judith L. Bronstein, mutualism is a relationship between two animals that benefits both of them. This relationship system, where both animals benefit, is not uncommon, but occurs far less frequently in nature than the more traditional competitive relationships, such as predator and prey. While there are many examples of mutualism in nature, such as clownfish and sea anemones, or bees and flowers, the fig tree and wasp relationship stands out among these due to the specialized nature of their relationship. Not only do they both benefit from their relationship, but they are also dependent upon each other for their continued survival. Mutualism was first discovered around the late 1800s and early 1900s as ecologists discovered instances of cooperating relationships between seemingly unrelated species throughout the world. Prior to the discovery of mutualism, natural selection, as originally introduced by Charles Darwin, was the primary lens through which nature was studied. The revelation of mutualism showed that there was more at work than just natural selection. One challenge to the idea of mutualism was that initially the concept was still viewed as less ecologically important than the competitive aspects of nature. When a female fig wasp needs to lay her eggs, she enters a fig. In doing so, she transfers pollen from the fig in which she was born into the new fig that she's entering, thereby cross-pollinating. Once inside the fig, she lays her eggs within. This benefits both the fig tree and the wasp. The tree needs pollination to occur so that it can reproduce. The wasp benefits as the safety of the fig protects her eggs while they develop and eventually hatch. Once the babies hatch, they will emerge, carrying the pollen from the tree with them to continue the cycle onwards. Two completely different organisms cooperating with and depending upon each other for the continuation of each of their respective species. This is a transformative realization, cooperation as an evolutionary strategy above competition. Judith L. Bronstein is an ecologist and evolutionary biologist who has conducted a great deal of research into the topic of mutualism. She has published multiple scientific documents on the subject, such as The Study of Mutualism, Past, Present, and Future, and The Evolution of Facilitation and Mutualism. Her work studying cooperative systems in nature includes the fig tree and wasp, amongst many others. Her research has shown that mutualistic relationships play an important ecological role and helps illustrate that relationships between species are not simply limited to competition for survival. The challenge for researchers like Bronstein was to explain why these instances of interspecies cooperation would occur, particularly when evolutionary theory has been so focused on competition. What I found surprising during this research was the level of dependence that two cooperative species can share. In case of the fig and the wasp, they not only cooperate with each other, but depend on each other for reproduction. This changed my perspective on nature and the relationships amongst the species, as before I began this research, I primarily thought of nature as a harsh place where every species within was in competition with each other for survival and resources. While this is still true, it's not the only thing that is true. Species can and do work together for better survival. Mutualism is connected to art, as mutualistic relationships like that between the fig and the wasp demonstrate themes often utilized in art: cooperation, interdependence, and balance. The beauty of mutualism is two species working together, while so many others either ignore each other or are in direct conflict. It is the beauty of a system of two completely different, yet interconnected beings relying on each other rather than competing, doing so in stark contrast to much of the world that they inhabit. The cultural importance of this mutualistic relationship, such as the fig and wasp, or other pollination and pollinator relationships, are crucial to our own ability to grow food and to survive. Mutualism changed our perspective as its discovery fundamentally shifted how we understand nature, ecology, and the relationship between species. It broadened our understanding of the natural world. Thanks to mutualism, we'd understand biodiversity more completely. The theme of cooperation and dependence is prevalent in art. The fig tree and wasp cooperate to create success greater than the sum of their parts. Mutualism remains relevant to this day. As scientists study mutualism to understand ecosystems and how climate change is impacting those ecosystems, such as declining pollinator populations. I chose this topic because I found the idea of interspecies cooperation fascinating and starkly in contrast with many other natural relationships. My opinion on the topic is that these relationships are as important as they are fascinating. Researching the topic showed me that not only are these relationships interesting, but they are ecologically vital, which is also beautiful. Thank you very much.